And this place, Thessalonica, yanya time yebeka senka menim se wo Ghana ahamentimi describe metimi aka say I say Kumasi Dom eye dwakese and say ka we say enipa bebre free other areas eba, and there were 7 false gods, and most of the people they bowed to Caesar. And when some of these Jews that did not believe realized that the gospel is preached around those places, they rose up with envy and took some gangs with them just to bring Paul down. Meaning, imagine say, okay, no obi envy. Or just say, I can't go one drop dead. The witch sent a Paul, or bed drop dead. Minion, a bride, or who said, Paul, I'm my mere seven no spreading. On what share the apporting. And any Paul receive Paul. Nidin near friend Jason into his house. And a brown coffee over who Paul almost dragging Jason out to appear before the rulers. If you want to get sense of this, you need to read Acts chapter 17 about the American, because of time to me read it. Acts chapter 17, if you are making note. Meaning, the persecution was so great to the believers in Thessalonica. A bride, Paul, who said, "Omu go through Samioma Webino. Oma Omu Asama Ebeshe Omu Kran." Or said that no man should be moved by this affliction. For yourself, know that when we are appointed thereunto. Now notice verse 4. For bearing when we were with you, we told you before that we should suffer tribulation, even as it came to pass. In other words, Paul tries or stretch a brow on your wall or catch almost says, I know we say that happened. And it turned out to be right that Paul was right. Meaning, right now, meaning what you are suffering for about your faith. Amen. But I come here to encourage you. I said, this is where the frustration is coming. My dear, me to appetite, me want pie, me bois sorry eduma. Me yes say, but still, me to know that they're struggling in some areas. So you get frustrated. You won't see us here. Last week, Bible studies. Maybe Busa said, "Enti Aden." And I'm here, Christo Nina say, me say, "Na still me cause how we do." The person may not say, and you're say, okay, kind. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Bible no, MICHEAL here, or 2 Corinthians chapter 12. I said, verse 8. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in weaknesses. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmity, that the power of Christ might rest upon me. Well, you might say to me, say, but this man is writing about the Bible. Paul, Apostle Paul. Me wa Ghana, me catch them was having Ghana. But I didn't wait a minute. Yes, Paul man or say Edica was. I said, actually. Paul, 1 mountain. For saying, and you can go better. Now, sorry, that this man, Obia, all preaching. Okay, can Acts chapter 20. I brought disciples named by together. Paul, all preaching throughout to the midnight. Emma Apala, or till window. Every a super ship from Obia is over. Paul didn't come from the castle and said, Mamma, you're trouble. Or we had a life for you. Or that is why Pompire man, Napalana, life. Paul, when you say Paul was so powerful in a region that you say, yes, this man was a truly man of God. Or Pompire, or then no one century brave. But the Bible said he had a thorn in his flesh. And this thorn, he explained, that was given to me. A thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. Miriam, Okonyamiho, or Pompire, tell your Pompire, you. I said, right, you saw problem with you. I think so. We problem with you. If you are making good preacher, if you are making agents and training, Ama or Oma, Bibia happy, and I was now born by the second time. Bibia happy 1 day, and Paul was so frustrated, and the third time he went. But always, small, still voice, Ebi Kasachel, Ewo Wakume say, my grace is sufficient for you. Meaning the issue who want to say meaning how long I was struggling I was bumped by yourself right here. I can't cope anymore because coping is difficult. I say Oklahoma if you are on any group, if you are BBS, you know, you have command of bad advice. I know I say I can't cope anymore. Ubemwano we divorce. Na afe o diarebo. Example for we give almost 2 epopower. O who said what the catch me one. Yes, me jado da. But thank God, we name. Hallelujah. Amen. Thank God said we name. Because coping is difficult. But one of the things you have to understand is that when you know who you believe, when you know that God that have called you, is going to help you to cope with that situation. It's Miriam. And then, as someone, when you're Miriam, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, now Pastor Kofi preaching or can say, or say, or quite remember. When you don't say, if you are, you don't say, be a pastor, and I say, be a say, and yes, if you are ferry, and I would be faith, no air hide you. But I am we hear the same. And human being can't you be say, oh, be a software, and I mean, can you answer? No, because Christianity is not what you say. You see, it's what we do. And also, in Christianity is a radical spiritual transformation that God begins in the heart, that profoundly impact the deep motive that influence our actions. You see, in our actions, you know, and not any important. And let your work answer me, you say. Hallelujah. And to me, I say, okay. Well, evangelists will say the churches in Thessalonica all go through suffering and afflictions. But your master, Jesus, and Hebrews chapter, I believe it's in Hebrews chapter 5, rather, yeah. Something about your country, because we pull be free. Hebrews chapter 5, verse 7 and 8, please. Verse 7 and 8.
Hallelujah. I'm John kind and soon watching. I say, or not, I hold down or did by body, but to celebrate a bit to me, and you know, a free war. It's a more and we are in the show. A ferry, tea, or tier, or yet, or bad year, and so. Sua amanya ohuni no setie
In Kenyan version, he said, whom in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplication with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared, though he were a son, yet learned he obedient by the things which he suffered. MICHEAL said, the suffering and the afflictions you are going through, and yet a dear in a mere design as a meaning that the same, the suffering and afflictions you are going through, and your dear Yakupo and Kasa, what design as a abrabo. Now, what to me, Akawoma. Now, what to me, Akawabusia, meaning Yesu Christo, Bible no me yes, sir. Though he were a son, you see, I mean, let's think about it for a minute. The Son of God, but learn obedience through the things that he suffered. Who then can't say about control. Who bet me at school, knowledge. But you cannot learn wisdom from school. Oh, yes. You get wisdom through the afflictions and the suffering you endure. Yes. Meaning, I may say, you can only get wisdom through the affliction and the suffering. And see, so who no suffering now won't come, you know. The Yakupo person get now and say, or better who any wisdom. And it's a who freeze our problem, Lima. Who really top problem, Lima. We are capturing the same. We call Kuba Yakupo. Well, give me a few words. You can only learn knowledge, but you can't learn wisdom from school. I mean, yes, one Kasa, the master, he went to the cross. Who read the Gospels now, you will hear again that Christ must need to suffer to rise again from the dead. All the Gospel writers recorded that Christ must need to suffer. Because that's what is explaining. Though he were a son, yet let me obedient through the things that he suffered. Amen. 1 Peter. I can not content something. 1 Peter chapter 5. We came out in this one. 1 Peter chapter 5.